Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of SW Elite. We are super excited to have you joining us either on Spotify or on YouTube, and we are grateful to have you. If you hear us coughing or going on mute or sneezing or anything like that, we're both a little under the weather, so please bear with us. But 'tis the season for colds, so we hope you all are doing well and are avoiding colds as well. But we're going to jump into today's topic, and as you can see on the screen, we are going to be talking about service and why it is important for us to be able to step outside of ourselves and help those around us. Because as we help everybody around us, the more willing they're going to be willing to help us. So we give and we receive. And it's Christmas seasons and we like to give, but we also like to receive. So we're going to start off with a couple banger quotes that are on the screen, and we'll just get started.
Yeah, we're excited to talk about service today because it really does change your life when you really catch on to this. So the first quote is from Gandhi, and it says, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." And it's crazy because I feel like in our world today, it's so much about me, me, me. What do I want? What do I get? What are my accomplishments? And you look at social media and a lot of people post about that all the time. But I have found that actually makes me feel worse about myself when I'm actually showing what I get, what I do. And I have found that really my true happiness in life has come as I've focused on other people and what I can give to make their life better and to kind of give them that glory and that limelight. Now, if you guys remember, I don't remember which podcast it was in, but we had talked about like glory and other people's glory. This plays totally into that. As you start to serve other people and build them up and serve them, it changes your whole mindset, your whole heart, and the whole purpose of why we do everything we do on and off the court.
And the second one is by Muhammad Ali, and he says, "To others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth." So think about that for a second. You're like, what? Right? So a lot of the things we very much like to get. We like to receive. And sometimes it's harder for us to step outside and help those in need. We may just be a little shy and it's out of our comfort zone, but if we can do it in groups and in their service, we're paying it forward. And I think this is what this quote is all about, is like paying it forward. Like, you get a good thing, give a good thing. And the way I like to think about it is like when you're in a drive-through lane and you pay for the person behind you and keep that chain going. Like, how much, like, you may not know how many cars behind you also paid for the car behind them, but like it's that chain, and we're paying, I guess, our rent, doing our good deeds here on earth, so that way we can make the world a better place, one little step at a time.
Yeah. And this last one is from Martin Luther King Jr. He nails this. He says, "Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?" And for those of you that know Martin Luther King Jr., he spent his life involved in people and movements for good and change. So I love these and that we're talking about service today.
Yeah. And so, like, we're like, okay, that's great and dandy, but like, think about how service has blessed you. Think about the opportunities that you've had to go out and serve your community, your family, your friends, and how that makes you feel. And I think for all of us that have given service and also have received service, it's a feeling of joy. It's a feeling of peace. It's a feeling of like, wow, like someone actually noticed me. So a feeling of gratitude and thankfulness, but for some, it's like you can't really put it into words. There's just a mix of emotions, right? And especially during this time of year, with it being Christmas, like a lot of us turn more outward and start serving everybody around us. But like, what if we started to serve like every single month instead of just around the holidays? And so for this little episode, we want you guys to see how serving others strengthens your leadership, your focus, and your teamwork, because not only is it the holiday season, it's also you're in season for your sports. We're also going to share some real examples that we have of service and also of athletes who use their service to fuel their greatness and make them better human beings. And we're going to share a few ways of how you can start serving today.
So one of the things we want to focus on is a lot of people think to be an elite athlete, it really comes down to your physical performance. I want you to break that myth. That is a myth. It is not true. If you think you can only be an elite athlete because of how you physically look and how you perform, you've actually missed the mark and have totally missed the whole focus of this. Real truth is elite athletes build their character as much as they do their bodies. So, service is one of the biggest key characteristics that will make you a better person and a better athlete, because we're going to even talk about the science behind this a little bit today. But what happens is there's actually chemical things that happen in your body to help you feel better, which will help you perform better on the court. So, as we go through these, I want you to look at some of these chemical changes. So, we're not going to go into all of these, but these are some four main chemicals that happen in your brain to help you feel good. You know, a lot of people feel like they need to take an antidepressant or be on medications, and definitely need to be on those for certain situations. But what are you doing naturally that doesn't have to be medicated to be happier? And these are some ways you can hack them, and I won't go into all of them, but the two I want you to focus on is the dopamine and the oxytocin. So these are both on the left side of the screen for those of you watching or can see this. Dopamine and oxytocin are both impacted by service. So anything little, you compliment somebody, you show somebody else affection, you give or receive a hug, you do something nice for somebody, you reach out and help somebody that's less fortunate than you. All of these things give you a dopamine and an oxytocin effect that help you feel better. And I don't know about you, but obviously I'm sick. My voice is not 100% right now. And this last week, I really could have just stayed secluded and not focused on me, just focused on me, which I've had to a little bit more. But I have had experiences and opportunities to still push out of my comfort zone. And honestly, those have made me feel better than in addition to the rest and the things I'm doing to try to physically recover. So remember that service really enhances empathy. And I don't know if many of you understand what empathy is, but empathy is kind of the way to feel what other people's feel. And there's a fine balance. Some people are too empathetic, guilty of that sometimes, and you take on too much of other people's stuff. But a lot of times, when you can be empathetic, you actually are a much better teammate because you'll hear it in your voice, like your tone of voice to your teammates. When you see somebody's not confident, you see them struggling, instead of being like, come on, get this figured out, you'll say things in words or phrases that are nicer. Like, hey, I see you're having a harder day. And what can I do to pick you up? How can I help you? Do you see like the tone in just those two different experiences? That can make all the difference for somebody. And those types of kindness or words that show love are going to make all the difference for you and your teammates. The last thing I want to bring up with this is when you serve other people, it actually decreases your risk of burnout and it helps you stay motivated longer. I don't know about you, but when you have a hard game, it's like the next day after practice, you're like, holy smokes, I'm wiped out. Well, guess what? A key way to get back and get on top of that is, how do I lift and serve? Because it will help with your motivation and reduce your burnout.
I'll just mention the two other ones, which are serotonin, also known as the mood stabilizer, and then endorphin, which is the painkiller. And so with serotonin, it's doing things that help us stay grounded. A lot of you use the term touch grass. And so it really is touching grass, sitting down and meditating, writing down what you're grateful for, writing a thank you letter for those of you who actually did the November Thanksgiving challenge and wrote that thank you letter to someone that really needed it. Like, how did that make you feel after? And then also just writing down all the thoughts we have, good or bad, because a lot of the times we have so many thoughts running through our brain, and it can cause us a lot of anxiety and panic and fear and all that stuff, where if we just write it down and it's out of our brains, then we can like decrease, come down a little bit, and then move forward and go serve and get that happy chemical dopamine going through our body, and the oxytocin as well. Endorphins. The easiest way that I think of endorphins is by laughing. You can always think about a funny thing that happened a long time ago. But also a lot of us exercise. Exercise is important. Going on a walk, listening to music, eating spicy foods or dark chocolate also helps. So have a little stash of chocolate or spicy foods in your freezer or wherever you're at, and pop one every once in a while when you need a boost. But kind of like what Whit said is like, service does all of these for you. Getting outside of yourself and taking time, if that's like holding a door open, making your siblings' bed, doing the dishes, just like little acts of service um, that can make your day, but also make the other person's day. And yes, there's so many examples and people who do this on a daily basis, but this quote is another great one. It says, "When you give, you grow, and that growth shows up in your game." And I think that's so important. And I always say the more you give, the more you receive. And sometimes it's hard for us to see what we receive because we may just be giving so much of ourselves that we're like, I'm not getting anything. We're just selfish and in our own way. But like when you give, you grow. And sometimes the things that you give turn into like an experience. You may not get like an actual item. And I think that's where a lot of us get mixed up and like, well, I'm giving so much, but I'm getting nothing in return. We want the physical thing. But it's like, what else can you get and learn from? Like, that's not tangible that you can hold in your hands. Like, you have those emotions, those happy feelings, those endorphins, that dopamine, all those chemicals that we just talked about running through our body. We have that life experience that we can take in to our next game, our next life event, our next exam, whatever it is. And we can show up and perform and know that because we gave, we're going to eventually get.
Yeah, I love that. So we're gonna give you some real life examples with names I'm sure most of you know, and these are people that have made a huge impact in the NBA basketball world. So this top picture, for those of you watching, for those of you not, it's a picture of a school, kind of the inside of a school. This is actually the I Promise school that LeBron James made for students to have free tuition, and it includes a lot of other, things they're given in the school to help them become successful on and off the court. So obviously he promotes basketball and getting athletes to become their best self, but first it starts with education and growth. And if you can see it, some of you can't really see it, but on this it says, I promise I will work hard. I promise I will never give up. I promise I will do my best. I promise I will dream big. I promise I will stand tall. I promise I will succeed. I promise I will be strong. I don't know about you, but these are like positive self-talk and affirmations. And so his whole school and program is to promote young athletes and students to do those things, to become their best self, to dream big and to stand tall. Exactly what we're wanting you to do here at SW Elite is to become your best self. And, LeBron has made tons of money and has had a huge impact on the game by his skill. However, you can see he's having that off the court. And these are the things that actually make these athletes great, is what they're doing behind the scenes or off that not everybody necessarily sees in that limelight. This bottom one, this is a pretty cool bus for those of you that can see the picture. If you cannot see or just listening, it's a picture of a bus. It's like multicolored. And on it says, eat, learn, and play. So this is actually the community service and group that Steph Curry has promoted and has helped young athletes and teenagers be able to have the necessities. So to be able to eat, to have food. Obviously, if you don't have food, you don't have one of those necessities of life. Learn, again, education. As you can see in both of these, a huge key is education, giving you things to empower your life. And then promoting the game of basketball and other sports, particularly basketball with Steph, but play hard, build connections with people and enjoy life. So these are just two examples of professional athletes that have made a huge difference on multiple lives. And because of them, multiple young adults and kids are going to have the opportunity to have a better life. It's paying it forward. And, I'm sure if we sat down with LeBron and Steph in these moments, they would tell you these have made all the difference internally on who they are and who they're becoming on the court and off the court.
And I love that. Like, a lot of you idolize Steph or idolize LeBron, and like they're great human beings on and off the court. And like they have so much money, it's insane. But for them to be willing to do this to help the next generation, and like think about like where you're at. Think about, you may not have the millions of dollars that these two have, but think about what you do have. What can you do with what you have to help maybe like your younger siblings, your younger teammates, your younger classmen? Like what can you be doing to show your gratitude for the things that you have, and how can you better show up and serve in even the littlest circumstances? And so what we're going to jump into next is how a service builds our inner game. So how does it help us? So I'm just going to touch on a few things. So it helps with our mental toughness and perspective. It can help with team chemistry. It can help with our resilience, and it can help us in a value-based lens, but also in a spiritual lens for those of you that are spiritual. And how can you see it from a spiritual stance? So we're just gonna quickly run through a few things. So mental toughness and perspective. So This is like helping others shift focus from self-pressure to purpose. So a lot of the times in a game-like situation, we put so much pressure on ourselves to perform the best that we can. And a lot of the times, a lot of us are aiming for perfection over progress. We forget the purpose of the game is to, yes, to obviously win, but also to improve every single time. Think of service in a basketball game as sharing the ball, passing the ball to your teammates, and not being selfish and taking a shot that is not good and you have a wide open teammate underneath the basket screaming for the ball. You're serving your teammates and serving others when you pass. And then guess what? Your teammates will pass back to you when you're wide open. So that's how I think of service in a basketball setting, but it helps with your mental toughness as well and your perspective of like, oh, my teammate's wide open. I get an assist and we score. And that's the point of basketball is we want to score and we have to score to win. And then the other one is that we've talked about before in our gratitude podcast is gratitude reduces anxiety and improves our focus under stress. And the more we can be grateful and have those positive self-talks during the game, we won't be as like wound up and excited and stressed out. But having those emotions are good. Being a little bit stressed, having a little bit of anxiety before the game is a good thing because it shows that you care. It shows that you want to be there, that you want to serve and pass the ball to your teammates, and that you want to win. It shows that. And be grateful that you are able to be there and play, and also remember your purpose and that we have to help our teammates to be able to win a game.
Yeah, I love that. And these are key things that, Shalice just touched on 4 main points: mental toughness, perspective, team chemistry, resilience, those spiritual based values. We want you to become your greatest self. And sometimes when you get out of that comfort zone and you're willing to serve and help other people, that's when you actually start to see what you're really made of. Because there'll come a day when basketball will not get to be maybe your first focus or whatever it is. If you're an athlete, swimmer, a football player, whatever you choose to do, there'll come a time that that doesn't get to be the primary focus of your life. But guess what? Service will always be something that should be a thing at the very forefront because it will make all the difference with that. I'm going to kind of go to this next slide here. So, how do you start to serve other people and what can you do? We're going to share a couple examples of some athletes who did, and I want you to think about what they did. And obviously, you can see off of this slide maybe some of the things that we're going to talk about. So this first story is actually we changed the name, it's Jordan Mitchell. We just switched it to somebody so it keeps, people's personal lives separate, but we're going to call her Jordan Mitchell. She's actually a junior in high school, so plays basketball, and she plays on the varsity team. And the gym that they practice in is shared with the middle school team. So if you think about middle school to high school, there's usually a big difference in level of skill. But she noticed that these younger players were kind of hanging back and unsure of themselves. They were like scared to make mistakes, didn't want to push themselves and get stronger. And so after her practices, she actually started to take time to stay an extra 15 to 20 minutes to help these younger girls with their footwork, their drills, and she was really encouraging, like, you got this, you can do this. And she was able to answer some questions and just build some confidence of, when you think of somebody older than you, usually you have a mentor, somebody you idolize, you want to be like. Well, these middle school girls were that for her. Like, they idolized her, they wanted to be like her. And so for this junior in high school to take 15 or 20 minutes during her season to stay and help them really made all the difference. Over time, these younger athletes started playing with more confidence. They understood what leadership was, and how cool is that to see and learn from a junior? So by the time they're sophomores and juniors, what if they're paying it forward? Do you see that pay it forward mentality, how it helps people? And guess what this did? It helped Jordan become a better leader on the court. And it also improved her confidence, because when you teach somebody else something, you actually become better at it. They've proven as you can teach and know something, you're able to perform and do it better. So not only did this help younger athletes, this actually helped her and changed her whole basketball career and being successful on the court. So something simple, but can make a big difference.
And then I'll just quickly share the other story. This person's name is Alyssa Ramirez, and yes, the name has changed, but she was a Division I collegiate athlete, and she did track and field. And she began to volunteer at a local youth center, so, like, kinda like a rec center, and at first she just kind of, like, thought it was, like, kind of part of assignment, part of something she had to do to fulfill a requirement, and so at first she just kind of felt like it was just, unnecessary for her to be there. It was just kind of like, she's like, "I have a packed schedule, I have so many other responsibilities that I have to do," but she worked weekly with elementary school kids doing homework, learning basic fitness, and, like, doing games, and one of the boys she was working with, he kinda just refused to participate in everything, and so what Alyssa did is she just continued to show up, and I think that's a lot of us is sometimes we have to just show up and consistently be there, and because Alyssa kept on showing up consistently, she got to know what he liked and started celebrating the small victories and offered positive words of encouragement. Now she kept on going over several months. And guess what? This little boy decided to start participating. He started talking and he started of like, you know what? Like you're cool. Like I want to be like you. I want to be an athlete like you. And I think that's important because you never know who's watching you. And that's what I love about this story about Alyssa is like she'll never fully realize the impact that she made on this little boy. But because she decided to be patient, keep on coming and showing up, being empathetic and realizing like I can just be myself. Like the kids are gonna be adaptable to me. They're gonna know who I am. Gonna know what I like. They're gonna eventually learn that I like to run and do track and all this stuff. But as she kept on doing this, eventually, Alyssa, she organized a team-wide volunteer days, making service a core part of her team culture. And the reason being that she organized this event is because her coaches noticed her leadership. They noticed a change in her because she took the time to go and help younger kids. And I think that's amazing because people, like I said, people, you don't know who's watching you. She went in at first with kind of like a negative attitude. And I think about it like, this is a perfect example of another thing of like, if you ever done like a youth service project and like, we're going to an elderly patient's home or going to a nursing home. And a lot of you at first are probably like, they're old, like they don't do anything anyway. They're just gonna be mad at us, da 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 da, right? But you get there and your whole perspective changes and you're wanting to go back. They're so nice. They have all this candy for you. They're just happy that they have someone to talk to. And you get to hear their stories and you get to be empathetic and get to know where they came from and how they're feeling. And you get to share a little about your life. And not only are you serving them, when you walk out of it, you realize that they were serving you. And so, like, with both of these examples of Jordan and Alyssa, not only were they giving service, but think of the service that they got back. Pretty cool.
Absolutely. I love that you made that connection, Shalise. It's true. It just changes your whole demeanor. I had the thought as Shalise was talking a few years ago. So we have younger sisters. Shalise has a few. I have one. They're both more musically talented than Shalise and I. Thank goodness. There's some of that in our family. But I thought it was really cool. One year around Christmas time, we actually did go to an elderly nursing home where people, were lonely and the holidays, and the last thing they want to do is be on their own or in a facility like this. But we went, and the main focus was for our younger sisters and another cousin that's their age to sing and kind of perform. And, we all participated and joined in, but just being in an environment like that just makes you feel better if you choose to let it. I think that's the
Yes.
biggest thing is sometimes we go with this attitude of like, what am I going to get from this? And I have more important things to do. We all do. We all could find something else better to do. But really, at the end of the day, is it the best thing we could be doing? No, because the best thing we could be doing is picking up somebody else and serving them. And I promise you, when you do that, it actually changes your mentality and you're able to get more done. It's amazing how that works. It's not some natural magic science, but it does work. And as you focus on other people, it changes you, changes your heart. It softens you. I think that's the biggest thing I've seen is it softens you as a person to be real and to not be fake. Too many of us try to put on the fake in the front, and we need to be real. We need to be real with each other. So looking at this slide, these are some ideas you could do as an athlete or as a teammate or as a team. I mean, volunteer and do youth camps and clinics. And yes, sometimes you'll do these to raise money for your teams. Great. But what else do you do that you don't always get paid for? Sometimes just giving of your time is more than just always receiving something in return. Like Shalise said, you'll be paid in other ways. Help a teammate struggle who's struggling with their confidence or who maybe just had an injury. Support local charities, food drives, or schools. Maybe there's something your school's doing for the holidays or are going to do in the spring. Use that. Be a positive voice in your locker room. And service starts with kindness. So I really think this would be cool for all of you to be able to focus on how to serve other people. So I actually, as I was reading these, I'm not going to share names just again due to privacy, but literally this past week, we had an athlete on our team have a medical emergency and it was scary. And that really rattled our team and it rattled this player. And we had another game a couple days later and there was a head coach of the team that we played that shout out to him. Like the man is amazing. He's an amazing coach and human being. And he had saw what had happened. And when we went to their school, had flowers and a note for her. And some of his senior players came up and gave it to her. This wasn't something that was announced. Not everybody saw it, but it made a huge difference. And sure, this girl's embarrassed and still trying to work through all of the things she's been through. But as a coach and as like a society, isn't that cool that we're surrounded by people who do those good things and love that we're able to benefit and bless other people for good?
Yeah, it is amazing. And think about just how your week went and think about who served you. Think about how you can serve. And guess what? This kind of leads right into our weekly challenge, which is for every single day, do an act of service. It can be as simple as holding a door open, saying thank you, passing the ball to your wide open teammate, or it can be a little bit more advanced, like doing the dishes for your mom, helping wrap some presents, cleaning your room. That's a good act of service. Cleaning your room or cleaning your bathroom. Those are just a few things. Or maybe you can support a local charity, give a donation, do a secret Santa, whatever it is. Every single day, pick a small act of service and serve. Feel the joy. Have the Christmas cheer bring joy to you for the rest of the year. That's your goal. And it also ties into these questions that are now on the screen. Who can I lift up today? And if you have no idea, think about it. It's really easy. Look at a family picture. I'm pretty sure you have one in your house somewhere. Or it could be a teammate. It could be a friend. It could be your neighbor. But who can you lift up today? And then once you have it, you can go serve that person. And the last one, and this is huge, and I really want you to think about it. It's a question. If the game was taken away tomorrow, how would you want people to remember your impact? I'll say that again. If the game was taken away tomorrow, how would you want people to remember your impact? So take some time, really think about that. I think that's deeply personal for every single one of us, but I think at least for all of us, we would want something along the lines of, they were super nice and they always stepped up and helped me when I needed it the most. Maybe that's you. Maybe that's something is a work in progress or a new goal that we need to work on. But I feel like most of us are those people who are willing to help people in need, get out of our comfort zone a little bit. But I know that as we get out of our comfort zone and as we serve and help those in need, help our families, help our friends, help our teammates, help ourselves, help everyone, we will be a happier people. And always remember, when we're feeling down, just get out and go do something. Go do something that gets you out of your head. Make your bed. Have a snack. Write a thank you letter. Listen to a good song. But the more you serve, the more happy you feel. And all the things, all the good things. But remember, the choice is always yours.
Yeah, I love that. I think, too, when I think back on my high school experiences in sports, yeah, there's certain things I remember. But more than anything, I remember how people treated me and really the relationship I formed with them. Remember, you're going to look back and it's not going to be about all the points you had and all your stats. It's going to be about the relationships and the experiences you had together. Those are the things you'll reminisce and talk about, 10, 15, 20, even 50 years down the road. So we encourage you, as Shalise had shared, to join us for our challenge. Take time to serve other people. It will change your whole holiday season if you focus more on what you give instead of what you receive. And remember that because becoming elite starts from the inside out. It's not just about what you do on the court, it's about who you're becoming off the court that will then translate onto the court. And we hope you have a very Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season with your families and take these times to celebrate the good that's around us, the good that's in you, the good that's in those around you. And we hope that you'll share with your friends and your family and join us and get them to join with us. And we will look forward to seeing with you next time. Bye, guys.